Joining us, we have a man who is no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a blessed evening to Oropouche East MP and UNC Shadow Minister of Housing and National Security, Dr. Roodal Moonilal. Pleasant good evening.
Good evening, Mikey, and to all your viewers, listeners,
Yeah.
and those in your studio. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure. I don't know if you had time to reach out to the health minister, but you can through this program because we are all, he seems so traumatized in that video.
Yes, I received the news a few minutes ago, and I myself was in shock. I'm extremely, disturbed that the Minister of Health and a member of the cabinet has been subjected to such a brutal encounter with the criminal enterprise, and he has been shattered a bit. I want to extend, of course, to him my deep concern and to hope that he can collect himself quickly and recover from any shock and trauma that he may feel, notwithstanding the loss of any material items and so on. That it pales in insignificance to the trauma that he would have experienced. Having said that, it's a trauma that many nationals of this country have experienced over the years, and thousands and thousands of people have faced the same dilemma. And maybe now that a cabinet minister has faced this dilemma, that the government may see this as a milestone to become much more serious, much more concentrated, and much more aware of the crisis that we face in Trinidad and Tobago at this time.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Many times people may be out of sync with what the reality is on a daily basis.
Course.
But when it comes knocking on your door, and I don't wish it on anyone, but at the same time, this is how many Trinbagonians have been living in the past 9 years.
Well, as I said, this is not something you wish for your worst enemy. So I'm extremely shaken myself. And I hope that, he's fine tonight and with his family and loved ones and so on. And, we hope that he recovers quickly. But having said that, there are thousands and thousands of citizens that we must also reach out to and share sympathy and compassion over this type of dastardly act. And, it has reached the cabinet now, so to speak. And one hopes that the Prime Minister, Minister Hines, Minister Young, and others would respond to understand now that the criminal enterprise has completely overtaken our nation, and we need to respond in a proper manner. I was also taken aback that he was at that type of time, frequenting what appears to be a rum shop opposite a church. We have to be careful in the places we frequent. In fact, the police are always reminding us that we must be careful where we frequent, what time, and that type of thing, given the state of insecurity in the country.
But taken in consideration too as well, Dr. Moonilal, that is the MP for the constituency.
Well, apparently the criminals did not recognize him and did not pay due respect to the member of parliament of the area. Clearly they did not recognize him. They were interested in his bracelet and whatever valuables he had. So that, being an MP or a minister means nothing in this world today, given what the PNM has brought this country to. And I am still in a state of shock that this could happen to the Minister of Health. But as I said, this is the nature of the society, and we must share our empathy, not only with Mr. Terence Dial Singh, but of all victims of crime. All victims of crime are equal, and they deserve our empathy, our deep concern. And we must pledge to work harder to deal with the criminal enterprise. And this government, as you know, has failed thoroughly in dealing with crime, and I hope that this is also a wake-up call for the government.
Yeah, I hope so. I want to dive into last night. You made some very strong claims on the platform at the UNC Monday night meeting, cottage meeting. You claimed that the government collapsed the Strategic Services Agency, the SSA, because its officers refused to do its bidding.
That is correct. The intelligence community has collapsed now in this country. They can no longer support the TTPS and other law enforcement agencies because the government has pulled a coup d'etat They have overthrown the intelligence community, and they have fired, the men and women who are working diligently to assist with crime fighting. I don't have to get into details, but I'm aware of the role of the SSA and how they have supported the police in several critical matters and cases where the police has made major breakthrough. Whether it's murder, whether it's drug trafficking, whether it's human trafficking, whatever it is, the SSA is the backbone of intelligence that supports the police. The government has staged a coup d'etat and removed the SSA and collapsed the intelligence community. And tonight on your program, I want again to call for the findings of the Brigadier General Anthony Spencer's report. We must have a full public disclosure on his findings, so we will get closer as to the real reason that this government has overthrown the intelligence community.
Yeah. You also made a claim that the government is using a unit in the police special branch to spy on its political opponents. Many times we hear about the fact that our civil liberties are being encroached upon, the fact that our democracy is under threat. It's all about a creeping dictatorship. But to make such a comment, the fact that where it is that you have a special branch officers apparently claiming spying on political opponents. I mean, we're entering some very dangerous waters here.
Well, the problem here is that Mr. Rowley, Mr. Hines, and others see themselves as police officers. And what they have done is hijack the SSA, and they have placed the important resources and technology in the hands of a unit of the special branch that reports directly to the minister and the prime minister. And they are using that to infiltrate communication networks and so on, and to spy on political opponents, including former ministers of government of the People's Partnership. They're using that to spy and to conduct the dirty work of the PNM. And that was the problem, because the SSA, as you know, is governed by legislation and proper appointments and so on. And when they realized that the SSA will not do their political bidding, they fired about 10 of the senior personnel, including the director, retired Major Roger Best. Today, the special branch that reports directly to the Prime Minister has a unit called the Research and Analysis Unit. I think as a mimic from an agency in Venezuela. And that unit has the technology, have the capacity, the capability to spy, but they report directly to the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security. And that is the danger that we find today.
Yeah, I mean, but we hear so much talk about the fact that, especially as far as you being the target of so many of these witch hunts. And at the end of the day, it costs taxpayers millions of dollars.
What I can say is that, they have targeted myself and others, including Anil Roberts and others, and they have spent over $60 million targeting us and trying to, investigate us and so on. And they have been on a massive witch hunt, and they have not found one witch, so that they have failed, but they have wasted and expended taxpayers' dollars in this massive fraud. And that is something that a future UNC government will clearly investigate. As you know, they have hired a woman from England, Miss Kate McMahon, made her SRP in Trinidad and Tobago. Believe it or not, she's a member of the SRP in Trinidad and Tobago to investigate and conduct, inquiries and so on former government ministers of the People's Partnership. Absolutely nothing has happened, but they have expended over $60 million on this British team. And an incoming UNC government will investigate thoroughly. And I assure you that all who are responsible for this debacle will be brought to book.
Yeah. The issue of HDC and the awarding of contracts, you spoke about the $4.8 million to Billabong Street. You spoke about Trestrail, and you were one of the first people to bring out that information on Trestrail.
Sure.
And yet still the question has to be, and the mere fact is the contractor didn't give himself that contract. So how is it?
Contractors don't give themselves contracts. They're given by boards.
Right.
With the authority of ministers, and that is what we are concerned with. Who gave Ricky Raghunandan a contract? Ricky Raghunandan didn't give himself a contract. Somebody gave him that. And on what basis? As you know, there was no performance bond, there was no history of house building, home construction, and so on. Who gave him that? And when they were managing, who managed that project that today they have collapsed? There are infrastructure problems, there are construction problems, fabricating problems, and we have $100 million in housing has to be collapsed and demolished, and that falls squarely on Newman George, Noel Garcia, and Keith Rowley.
Now, so much is coming out, Dr. Moonilal, as far as monies that unaccounted for, billions of dollars. We heard your colleague Dave Tanku talk about it. I need to ask you, do you believe that the UNC revelations are connecting with the electorate?
My own view is that I'm on the ground, I'm in the mall, I'm on the streets, I'm in the religious area, I'm in, connecting with people every single day of my life. And the people are now coming to the belief that we have to get rid of this government, and we are connecting in terms of the issues. We just have to keep up, of course, the pace and the tempo. That's very critical in this stage, that we keep up some tempo and some pace, and we accelerate our progress for people to understand the crisis that we face.
Well, it brings me to my next question. I've been asking this. Do you believe that the United National Congress has what it takes to go it alone in the next general election?
I'm very confident that the party has done the work, that we can engage the electorate and secure a victory. Having said that, I want to tell you again that we are the United National Congress, and we must believe in unity and ensure that different forces, different persons, different people are all united under one umbrella, because we need to win with unity, but probably more importantly, we need to govern with unity. You cannot govern this country unless you mobilize all the resources of the country.
I know you may have some things on the agenda for your constituency, always planning. Anything you want to say?
We are in a wonderful area now that, in a state where we have completed the Ganesh prayer, and we are very happy with that. We engage in other very significant religious occasions of Peter Pak and then Navratri and Diwali and so on. So I am grounded with my constituents as we commemorate those important events.
Wonderful. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
My closing comments to the population is to keep firm, keep confidence, and that I'm confident that with the work and by the will of God, that we will remove this wicked, evil, dictatorial, Rowley PNM government.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.